What will be the criteria to ensure fairness, transparency, and equitable access, especially in underserved communities? Thank you.
Her own party's chief whip interrupted on a point of order.
I rise on a point of order. I've said campaign voice, not below talk voice.
That is not a point of order, Honourable Madam.
That's completely out of order.
Well, happy Women's Month, I guess. In the comedic space that a political satire show like Politically Aware lives in, it's easy for a woman to become the butt of every joke. Sexism in politics is almost comical, but not funny. Haha, funny you think you can even say that. But here's the problem, both for women trying to hold power to account in parliament and those in the media. These jokes are meant to silence the critics, and they can quickly evolve into something far, far worse. Here's what the women we've interviewed on the Politically Aware podcast have to say.
So I would wake up to scrolls of myself in Johan Rupert's bed being walked like a dog. It was very early deepfake stuff, so it was still extremely hurtful.
When I got onto X, just like, why did I go on? Like, anything that I said, I was going to be in the about.
I was getting death threats. Like, it got so bad I had to open up a case of SAPS.
When people get their feelings hurt, it's easy to pull at straws like verbal violence and threats, never more so than when against women.
I've been threatened. It's very scary. It's not knowing who you're truly irritating and not knowing if someone will just flip and react one day.
Despite receiving so many threats, I stand by that opinion.
The digital world isn't separate from the real one anymore. What starts with a post can become harassment. What starts with misinformation can become violence, something many South African women journalists have experienced.
Very quickly, it jumps from the ether into the real world.
Perhaps the most remarkable thing isn't the increase in online abuse. It's that these women journalists haven't stopped in spite of the abuse. Not because it's easy, because someone has to do the dirty work, holding the criminal and the corrupt to account.
It doesn't feel like these an isolated few voices screaming into a void. People still trust some of us enough to impart information that is dangerous.
Good journalism, just like the satire we do at Politically Aware, is supposed to make those in power uncomfortable. We exist to ask difficult questions, and neither works if people are being bullied into silence.
Our freedom of expression is not unconstrained. What you don't want is the state making those rules.
I'm on no one's payroll. I will talk about everyone equally.
Every one of these women could have chosen a quieter life. Instead, they chose visibility. The faces on camera and their bylines on their news stories, because democracy depends on people who are willing to stand in the light.
It breaks me, it breaks my heart that we can't do more and that there's something fundamentally wrong.
What it requires is momentum. And how do you encourage momentum? By people being active, aware citizens.
But are we surprised that online abuse goes so unchallenged when the authorities seem to be stuck in the analogue era? Sure, film cameras and records are making a comeback, but I want my police in the 21st century. Bless.
In theory, the police should have hotlines to these companies, to Twitter or X, to Alphabet, which owns YouTube and Google, to ByteDance, which owns TikTok, Snap, which owns Snapchat, and to Meta. They all have these sort of law enforcement takedown mechanisms, which are supposed to fast track requests for identifying information, removal notices. But to be honest with you, Zoe, if we go to the police in South Africa, they don't even have email addresses. They don't even have Wi-Fi.
And the tech platforms themselves, they're missing in action.
At best, they're pretty much silent. At worst, to the extent that this type of content is driving engagement on their platforms, their systems are amplifying it and recommending it. Despite these digital platforms marketing their services to millions of South Africans, despite their profits being very generously enhanced by several millions of dollars through a South African customer space. They insist that they are not liable under South African law, and we have to do a much better job of seeking to hold account platforms for the crimes, the abuses, and the gross ills that we see perpetrated on these platforms on a daily basis.
How do we navigate this space when anyone can hide behind a blank profile picture? And oftentimes, men don't have to hide at all. It's a skewed algorithm with a bias that seems to develop as technology does. Is the fight against men? Is it against bots? Is it against an idea? Maybe all of the above. But as an algorithm works against us, so too can it work for us, whether it's as small as a purple profile picture or as large as the weighty work of our women journalists. The stories we tell and how we choose to tell them matters. So to my fellow women in media, let's take a moment to celebrate that we're here, visible with our faces on cameras and our names in bylines, because democracy depends on people who are willing to stand in the light. So this Women's Month, keep owning the spotlight and shining light where it's needed. Oh yeah, and like, share and subscribe. Until next time, stay away.